Welcome to your yoga practice. I hope you enjoy this time that you're going to spend today on yourself, recovering your muscles. Do what you can, listen to your body. With all yoga, we call it a practice and not a perfection. So just listen to what your body tells you, do the poses that feel good. This is a very gentle, restorative practice. We're going to be in our poses for 3 to 5 minutes at a time. If you need to take a break, take a break. And with any practice too, make sure you drink some water afterwards. Let's get started. I'm going to be using a yoga bolster today. If you don't have one of these, you can use a pillow or a sofa cushion from at home. You also don't have to use anything. Let's get started. Come to a nice seated place. Cross your legs or whatever feels good for you. Rock through your hips just a little bit. Start to focus in on your breath. Start to let the world melt away. The next 45 minutes or so are all time for just you to focus on taking care of your body, your joints, and your connective tissue. And on your next breath in, go ahead and find stillness. Take a deep breath in, stretch up to the sky. Exhale, let one arm come down and reach up overhead. Let that arm come over towards your ear. Feel your arm grow, grow, grow. Exhale, come back to center. Very nice. Stretch both arms back up. Exhale, the other arm down. Reach up and over from the other side. And exhale. Throughout our video too, if you want to take a pause, repeat anything, please feel free and welcome and empowered to do so. Stretch up once more, inhale, palms together, fingertips together, and we're going to exhale our hands down to heart center. Maybe soften your gaze or even close your eyes. Exhale. Let any tension in your shoulders just soften away. Bring an intention to your practice. Maybe a feeling that you'd like to encompass. Maybe peace. Maybe relaxation. Maybe a softer, slower heart rate. Whatever your intention for you is perfect. Gently let your fingertips come down to the mat beside you. Ease your hips a little bit further forward. Extend your feet long and in front. Take a deep breath in, stack your spine, feel yourself grow. And now roll down, roll back, and feel your body go into recline. Then stretch your arms up towards the sky like you're diving into a pool. Exhale, stretch your arms wide like you're giving somebody a hug. Your arms may not come down all the way to the ground. They may float because we might have some tenser muscles throughout our chest, and that's totally fine. If they start to come down to the ground, that's also wonderful. As we are in our poses for about 3 minutes here, focus on your breath, breathing in deeply and exhaling completely. As you begin working through a yoga practice such as this style is called Yin Yoga. It is our lunar practice, our cold practice. We're not trying to build heat in our body. We are working to keep the body cool. And through this coolness, we are developing our flexibility over time. That's why we hold our poses for so much longer than a traditional practice. Sometimes it's hard to quiet our minds, and that's the element of the meditation in this practice. If you find thoughts jumping into your head, reminding you of all the things that you need to do, That's not a bad thing. Just acknowledge them and then let them go. With time, less and less of those thoughts will pop in. And over time too, it'll be easier to stay still, or it'll feel better to stay still. But if at any point you need to wiggle or readjust, please know that you are empowered to do so. Your practice is your practice and no one else's. Take a slightly deeper breath in. Feel your chest rise. And as you exhale, slide your hands back in closer to your body. Tilt your chin up towards your chest and maybe ease your elbows back. Use your hands to shift and lift your chest up. Take a moment, breathe in and exhale. Allow yourself to come back down. Notice throughout our practice how your body feels. There are no goods, no bads, it's just what is. On our next breath in, we're going to bring our knees out towards the sides and the soles of our feet together, almost like we're making two footprints. If it feels good to you, rock side to side. Sometimes our hips are pretty tight, especially if your job keeps you sitting throughout the day. If you have some extra pillows laying around, you might want to place the pillows under your knees for some support. Otherwise, letting your knees hang open will help to open up through that hip joint and help to create some more flexibility. If you're using a pillow or a bolster, you have a couple options here. We can lay the bolster across your lap, or we can turn it front ways or up on its edge. This gives us some nice options. We're going to be hinging forward from our hips to walk forward and lean forward again, creating some flexibility in the hips and in the back. So you may want to try a couple different options and find what works best for you today. As we lean down, one of my favorite things is either to add another pillow in the front or stack your hands on top like you're playing mashed potato and resting your forehead on those hands. Again, feel what works for you. Try a couple different things and find what feels good today. Can change from day to day. We're gonna walk down, stacking those hands and resting, or you can even place them on the floor down beside you. Take a big inhale in and exhale, roll down and look down. Once you roll into position, I'm going to talk for a moment here too. As we roll down, you'll notice that it's a little bit harder because we can't expand our lungs to breathe. So I tell people, inhale and imagine your lungs expanding sideways, left and right, and that helps us to create some more space for that breath. Also too, if that's a little bit more challenging, go ahead and turn your bolster sideways, and then you can lean forward like this. It might give you a little bit extra space if that feels better today. And the added bonus is you have a little bit of downward pressure to help create that opening in your knees. We're not pushing and forcing, we're letting gravity do the work and enjoying that. So find what works for you here. Roll down, come down, and find your place. Take one more breath in here. And as you exhale, start to slowly roll back up. Stack your spine again and gently ease your bolster off to the side. I'm going to turn sideways for our next pose because we will be lying down and this will make it make a little bit more sense. As we recline down, make sure you hold your hands down to support you as you roll down. Make sure your feet stay flat on the ground. We're going to come up into a supported bridge, so press through your soles and lift your hips up. We're going to take that bolster or your pillow and slide it under the small of your back or just below your hips and rest down. Again, I'm pretty elevated because my bolster is fairly firm. If you're using a pillow, you might not be as lifted. You have a couple options here too. You can either leave your knees together here, or you can bring your knees and let them flop open and the soles of your feet come together. It's really a preference. You'll get different benefits from each. Extend your hands up, just like we did in our beginning lung pose, and then open up, stretching like we're stretching taffy out to the sides. Take a big breath in, and as you exhale, let your body melt into the ground, sink down. With each breath you take, let your heart rate slow just a little bit more. And as we work through each of our poses, take notice of each of your muscles. Sometimes it's nice to start from the feet and actively think about relaxing all of the muscles in your feet. And soften all of the muscles in your calves. Relax the muscles in your thighs and hips. the muscles in your stomach, your mid and upper back, your shoulders, along your arms, imagine that your hands are each holding a cloud. Allow your tongue to come down from the roof of your mouth, and all of the muscles in your jaw to relax. Let any wrinkles that may have formed in the creases of your eyes or along your forehead become smooth. And just breathe. Give a little wiggle of your fingers and toes and take one more breath in. And as you exhale out, press firmly through the soles of your feet and gently lift your hips up a little bit higher to ease the bolster, your pillow, out from underneath your hips, rolling down one vertebra at a time. We're going to gently roll over onto our sides to transition up onto hands and knees. A lot of people have heard about cat and cow for our yoga poses, and I'm going to give you a slight variation that is one of my favorites for sure. So our cat pose is imagining a cat stretching and pressing the shoulders up, tucking the tailbone underneath, and sending your gaze down towards your knees. So it's a very nice active pose for sure. Our cow drops our belly down, presses the hips back, and sends our gaze forward. So nice spine release for sure. The variation that I like is where we call scraping the barrel, where we're gonna hinge our rib cage to the side. I'm gonna actually come back to the front to show you this one. So starting from cow, our belly is dropped and our gaze is forward. We're gonna press our ribs to the side, roll up into cat, press our ribs to the other side, and then sink back down into cow. Press our ribs to the other side, roll up into cat, ribs to the other side, and drop down into cow. And then we start to smooth it out. So rolling up, side, and down, side, up, and down. So if you almost want to imagine the way we take our spatula and scrape the insides of a bowl when you're making cookie dough to get all the last bits out, that is the imagination that I want you to use when you are moving your ribs through space. And of course we can go the opposite direction, reverse. And the more you use the space, the better this one feels. We get into all of the muscles of the spine, our intercostals between our rib cage, and it just feels so good. It's a great transitional pose, great counterpiece as we move through our practice. I like to neutralize that by coming back into just a regular cat and cow, just to make sure everything is back to normal. All right, from here, we're gonna go ahead and come into a nice supported child's pose. We're gonna take our legs wide, so you can see my knees are coming to the edges, the long edges of my mat. You don't have to have a mat, a blanket, or a nice cushioned floor is great. We're gonna take our bolster or pillow and slide it down so the front edge is right under your belly button, and then walk your hands a little bit further forward, and then shift back so your hips are right over or pressing down on your heels. Walking your hands as far forward as you like or even wide. Explore your space and find where your body needs to feel the stretch today. Exhale, maybe rest your chin on the front edge of your bolster or pillow. Maybe rest your forehead down. Exhale, release any muscle tension and sink down. All right, give your fingers a little wiggle. Press down through your palms and hinge forward. Slide your bolster forward to the front edge. I'm going to turn on the diagonal again just a little bit so you can see better what we're going to be doing next. And place your hands down onto the bolster and then transfer down onto forearms. Make sure your elbows are in the middle of your bolster or pillow and bring your hands together almost in prayer. Shift your hips back like we're coming back into child's pose and rotate through the elbows to bring your fingertips up. It's a great shoulder and chest opener. And sink down. Again, you can adjust through your knees. You can open your knees wider depending on how much hip opening that you would like in this pose. And Just release and relax. And also don't forget, you always want to make every pose work for you, depending on where you are in your journey. This might be enough hip opening for you today and enough shoulder opening if you have a tender shoulder. So this is a perfectly fine variation. And then with time, you can shift back and open more. So find what's going to work for you today. And press down through your shins and the tops of your feet, rock forward. And then press one hand down and then the other. Crawl back up and take a moment to readjust. Our next pose, we're not going to need a pillow at all. It's probably one of my favorites. It's in our twist series. It really helps to open up through the shoulders and the hips for sure. We're going to come down to lay on our stomach. So we're going to start from our Sphinx pose. So Sphinx pose, legs are together and we're up on our forearms. We're going to slide one leg out. I'm going to cue our left knee to come out. Right fingertips are going to come up and wave and then reach under that left arm. We're going to slide the left arm under, reach the arm up all the way to the ceiling and open out. Palms are facing up. Once we settle into this pose, I always like to empower people to give it a little wiggle, readjust. You might want to move your knee around, move your shoulder position around or your other hand, and then start to work on a body scan to relax each part. Let your feet relax, soften through your calves, and your hips. Actively release anything that's tight in your hips and glutes, especially our lower back. Almost imagining someone gently pressing a hand down on your left shoulder. Oh, with time and as you get a little bit more practiced, you'll notice that left shoulder just sinking down to the ground, and one day it's just going to touch and you'll realize that that flexibility has done exactly what it needed to do. Let the arms also just sink down, roll down. Let the muscles in your neck face, and all of the muscles in your face just melt down. If you're somebody who likes to adjust your back or go to the chiropractor, sometimes you'll get a nice little self-adjustment from this one as well. And then breathe in and stretch your left hand up to the sky and start to roll your stomach back down to the ground or to the mat. Slide your left hand back towards your shoulder and press to lift your chest up and return your hands to Sphinx pose. Slide your left leg back to return back to your original position. Next, slide your right knee out to the side. You'll see that back there. Lift up your left hand, point it underneath, and slide it under. Right hand comes up and stretches forward first, and then it lifts up and opens out. Again, feel free to give yourself a little wiggle. You'll notice often that one side of your body twists a little bit better than the other, and that's completely natural and normal. We use our bodies in different ways on the left and right side. So rarely are we symmetrical or evenly balanced, even from a muscular standpoint. So doing our yoga practice helps us to balance a little bit more. In your own time too, if you find like this is my tighter side, it's best to stay in the sides that are a little bit tighter, a little bit longer. That way you can help to create a little bit more balance. And once you're here, breathe in deeply. Exhale completely. Again, letting go of each muscle. Allowing gravity in your own body to do the work it knows how to do on its own. With just a little nudge from us putting it into position. And one more deep breath in. And And as you exhale out, bring the right hand up and stretch it forward, sliding it back under your shoulder, and bring your left hand under your shoulder as well. Extend the leg back and return to Sphinx pose. From here, we're going to prepare for our Savasana, our corpse pose, and our final relaxation. So gently transition onto your back. Usually it's best right from here to just roll on over and find your peace. I like to take also my bolster and lay it over my hip joints. It gives us a little bit of extra downward pressure. Also, sometimes people like to cover themselves with a blanket. Also totally fine. I'm going to turn a little bit more sideways so you can see the placement. Good, just like that. Turn your palms upward, let your feet just go soft and relaxed. Close your eyes. And to set in a good breathing pattern, let's inhale for a count of 1, 2, 3. Hold your breath for 1, 2, 3. Exhale, 3, 2, 1. Hold your breath for 3, 2, 1. Inhale for 1, 2, 3. Hold your breath for 1, 2, 3. Exhale for 3, 2, 1. Hold your breath for 3, 2, 1. Inhale a little bit longer for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold your breath for 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold for 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold your breath for 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale 4, 3, 2, 1, and hold for 4, 3, 2, 1. Continue to breathe in that pattern or breathe however it feels best for your body today. Start to give your fingers and toes a little bit of a wiggle and shift your pillow or bolster off to the side. Roll over onto your side and snuggle in with your pillow for just a few moments more. then start to ease yourself back up to a seated position. And rock side to side in your hips. Maybe roll around in your upper body. And then the opposite direction. Take a deep breath in, up overhead. Dropping one arm down to the side and giving yourself a big stretch because it feels good. And arms come down, and another breath in. And the other arm down and a big stretch. Beautiful. One final stretch and breath in, palms to palms, fingertips to fingertips, and coming down, taking a pause at our forehead, reminding ourselves to fill our heads with good thoughts about ourselves and each other. Bring our hands to our lips to speak kind words about ourselves and to one another. And finally down to heart center. Thank you so much for taking the time to work on your practice today with me. The light and love in me honors the light and love in you. Namaste.